Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. Ooh, that's a good one.
I went with it. I was trying my acapella today.
On it. Acapella? Yeah, a little soprano there. You went high, didn't you?
Yeah, I have no idea what that was. I was thinking guns and mafia and stuff like that. That's the only sopranos I know.
Oh, Game 7 Baseball. We've got some great stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Now, from Game 7 Baseball this past week in Armed Forces Day Classic, go to our website, youthbaseballmidwest.com. Check out the interviews with our top award and player of the game winners, Caden Lowry from the SEMO Tropics, and Kevin Morgan from the Midland Bandits. These guys were duking it out on the mound, bro. Lowry, 8 Ks. Morgan, 9 Ks. These guys were pretty filthy.
That had to be a gem at 14.
It was. It was really good. It was a really good baseball game. Top stuff there. So go check that out. These arms are going to play in high school.
Oh, yeah. This is the one thing I like about this show, which I think helped us last year. And last year was my first year going into it. The amount of 14, and I had a 14U team as well, but seeing 14U teams last year, getting excited about the 13U teams coming up, I like the progression that we're seeing. You know, you're seeing kids go from 13s to 14s. They're changing from -5s, -3s, and then they get to the high school side of things, and you're watching kids play.
Right.
And the guys at 14U, you're going, that's a kid that's going to play in high school. He might get a chance to play JV if he's at a certain area. That kid at small school might be able to be a varsity kid. So I really dig this because it's bringing out names of guys, you know, the top award especially, because you just don't get voted to be in the top award without being a dude in to begin with. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
It's not like some kid had to run one random day. These are kids that are in great shape. They're they're mentally tough. They have a high IQ too.
And not to mention, like Caden Lowry, he played shortstop all weekend for the Tropics. He's an athlete. He's going to Scott City High School, where they have a good program. And he even said in the interview, he goes, we got some good guys. He said, we got a pretty good pitching staff. He said, so I'm going to have to keep working to get myself in. So I love that because Scott City, I think, is Class 3 or something like that. I think it was.
Yeah, it's just, 8 miles south of Cape Girardeau. Right. I actually had some kids from Scott City play for me. They would drive up every single week to practice. Didn't miss practices, so shout out to those young ladies. They're now giving back to the Scott City community.
Oh, there you go.
As coaches. So I think it's really neat. They're the Rams, if anybody's wondering. Blue and yellow.
So there you go, and I think that's what's great. We know that we're going to see them, Scott City, so we'll keep an eye on Caden Lowry as he moves into high school. I love that part of it. Kevin Morgan going here locally to Fort Zumwalt East High School. Coach Hill will get an arm and a bat, and he plays really good, high IQ kid. And I think, you know, when you're pitching on championship, and Morgan threw a complete game, 2-hit, 2-run win for the Midland Bandits with 9 Ks. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see none of it. I was out fishing for this my last weekend before I have to spend all summer at the baseball field. So I did not catch up on anything from this past weekend, but that is the goal. Yeah. Because I love the interviews. I like hearing the people talk, you know, the kids talk, and they get a camera in front of them. You know, some of them really love it.
Yeah, and they both did pretty good. You know, the nervousness is always there, and that's okay. You know, I understand that. Yeah. And but I really enjoy that part of it. Well, Saturday, you can go check that out. From Saturday, we had some great interviews. I love the little guys.
That's what I'm talking about.
They are so much fun.
Kids
the 9Us, the 10Us. We had some 7U Gators.
Uh-oh.
It was.
I saw the short.
Oliver
not a short,
was fantastic, right? And it was Camden, I think, was the other. It was Oliver and Camden, I believe, these two from the Gators. Perfect. They were fantastic.
Love it. I'll have to get in there and watch.
So we opened up in 2019, and basically there was a void in the area. I mean, we saw that there was an opportunity to have a retail store where people could come in and actually touch and feel the tangible object that they're buying.
So it was a lot of fun, and we'll be out Memorial Day weekend. We're picking up an extra date because of all the rain. Unfortunately, the rain has killed some of those early tournaments, but that's okay. That happens. And so we picked up Memorial Day. We'll be out at Ozzy's for the Memorial Day Classic. It looks like everybody is playing at Ozzy's. That's Ozzy. Ozzy. Yeah, because the schedule is already up for this weekend. And we got a big 14U group this weekend for the Extreme Elite Jeffco Aces. The Knights, LOZ Sports Training 14U, Midland Bandits, Coach Hewlett's squad, Midwest Futures, Keller and Horn, Missouri Redhawks, Coach Haley, Recruits, Clement, Nick Post, St. Louis Prospects, St. Louis Naturals, Coach Scott, and the St. Louis Prospects Red. I believe that's pronounced Spagogi.
Spicoli.
Spagogi.
I'm sure he'd rather be called Spicoli.
You know, the Extreme Elite, that's out of Collinsville, Illinois. Jeffco, of course, down in Festus. The Knights from Jefferson City, Missouri. So LOZ Sports Training, Camdenton, Missouri, coming up. So we got those first four teams are all outside of the area, so I'm really looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. Seeing those four teams that we may not see before. And then, of course, the Midland Bandits, Futures, Redhawks, Recruits, Prospects, St. Louis Naturals out of Arnold Todd Scott's squad there. And I haven't seen this Spagogi's team yet, so I think it'll be fun. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 teams this weekend.
This is random here. Did they leave that as an open tournament?
I believe it.
Because I didn't see no designation.
It's open. There's no designation. So I don't know if – I think most of these teams are AA, though, it looks like here. Extreme Elite is AA. Jeffco Ace is AA. Knights are AA. And LOZ AA. So – and I know the Midland Bandits Coach Hewlett's squad is AAA.
Yeah,
I think they were moved up here pretty recently.
I gotcha.
And Keller and Horn squads are both AA. The Redhawks are AA.
I checked on Post; they're AA.
Yep, they are. And they've been playing AAA this year. They got moved up. They were beating up everybody in AA pretty good, and they've been playing mostly AAA, and I think that was what they talked with Game 7 and whatnot. But they're in this one. It's an open kind of format here, which, hey, you know, this going to be a lot of fun. Aussie A and B, we're got a lot to cover.
It's a lot of baseball
this weekend.
What'd you say? 12 teams?
Yeah, 12 teams.
That's a good age.
Both fields will be going.
Bracket.
You got a 14U championship bracket here and a silver bracket. Championship game on Sunday at 4:30. So hopefully we're going to have some fun out there at Ozzy's on Saturday and Sunday. So we're looking forward to that. Game7baseball.com. We're going to get into some stuff from the weekend along with some conversation. I want to talk, though, we're going to get into this a little bit because here's the things. We've been talking about these things, and we're now out, and this is what I want to do with our wrap-up shows. Not just saying, because we do a lot of stuff, not just talking about they won this one. But you know what I saw this weekend, Mitch? We've been talking about baseball IQ. We've been talking about development. We've been talking about these things, especially at the 14U level. These kids moving into high school. And when they get into high school, I'm watching this one particular 14U game, and you got first and third. Nobody goes out to talk about a play. The kid takes second and second and short are standing there, watch this kid take second base.
Do you really want me to get started on this one?
Well, this is the point. And it's not a matter of, I'm not trying to beat anybody up. I'm trying to bring this into the conversation about what are we doing? We talk about, is it just become about going out to the ballpark on Saturday and Sunday, playing the game, and hoping to get into the championship game for a trophy and go home? Or are these teams truly about developing these players to move into high school?
Here's what's interesting. Having the ability to coach high school, coach college, and pay attention to professional baseball. I have actually seen this more in the last couple of years with no attempts being made whatsoever, whether it's a fake, a pump fake, a throwback to the pitcher, throw to third base. They're just giving up the bag. I've seen this at all of those levels recently, and it drives me crazy. And I don't know if it's because I'm used to the players executing what they're being asked to execute. You know, your second baseman coming in for the cut to watch the runner at third base. Players aren't seeming to be able to do that anymore. Like, I know they practice this, but why do you practice it if you're not going to execute in the game? I don't understand what's going on. I want to see a play being made. I don't want to give free bases. And I want to see teams compete, even at 13 and 14 years old, especially when they start stealing at 11 years old, even if kids can't make that throw. Once, if you have the opportunity once in a game, just do it to see what it's like in live action. Because I have to think that at the high school level, you will have some teams that will make you make a throw. Some teams don't care. Maybe that's a level thing. Maybe it's an IQ thing. It's a coaching thing. I hate that. I know that's a strong word, that we just give the bag up.
Well, I remember, and this is where we're at, and we've all decided this is where we're at. Now, there are teams that play in leagues, and I know there are still leagues around. SPAA has them. I don't think there's much in that. I think OCAC still has it over in O'Fallon. I know Chesterfield still has their league. I know Baldwin still has their league. Does Kirkwood still have their league down there?
I'm not sure. I think Kirkwood I know that they have one on the younger sides, the 9s, 10s, 11s, 12s. I know that softball's kind of taken over Kirkwood just a little bit more. Okay. But you have New Horizons out here in the Wentzville area that has them. Warrenton has leagues. You have small towns that have leagues too. So there's leagues still being played everywhere.
Does Florissant still have their league over there?
WeHop does.
WeHop?
WeHop, ABC, out of the North County areas, they still have leagues.
Okay.
So there is definitely leagues still around. I think when you talk about what like any of these select teams would talk about, they're probably in your Chesterfields, your OCACs, your Strel.
Okay, and that's my point to this. We used to have this place where, you had your leagues and then you had your select teams that went out and played tournaments, on the weekends and stuff. And they were still playing their league, and then we're going to go challenge against the better teams and this and blah, blah, blah. But if this is where we're going and we've done this and we're playing pretty much tournament baseball on the weekends, what are we doing to execute, to do this, to development? If you wanted to just go play in a league, and this is where some of that was, it was what we call rec. You had national level, which was blue, red, and white. You had American level with blue, red, and white. And you had continental blue, red, and white. Remember those?
Well, when I played at ABC growing up, so we had Juvenile 1, Juvenile 2, or we had Adam 1, Adam 2, Bantam 1, Bantam 2.
I remember those.
So you had those designations to identify what your team should play in, just like we do now with AAA and whatnot. But back then, it wasn't a disaster to be Bantam 2. That was an age group thing. Bantam 1 was an age group thing.
Yep.
You still had to compete against anybody that was in that league. And if you lost bad 10-1, maybe there would be a designation of Bantam 1 elite or Bantam 1 blue, red, whatever.
Yeah.
Because you don't, as you get older, you don't want to go out and play the game to get your butt kicked, because then you start getting defeated and there's no desire to play. You still need to play to your level of competition. Just play to that. You know,
And that's the
where do
point,
do
right?
you learn how to do these things in game? Some people choose to do leagues, and they will manage leagues very different than they manage the weekends. You know,
Right,
you
right.
might have some of your lesser players, if you will. The bottom of your roster might play more in league than some of the top guys because they're playing all weekend.
Right.
To make sure that you're trying to catch them up to be able to compete. And at some point, you need to practice these things. And if you're practicing them, why don't you just try to execute it one time a weekend? It doesn't have to happen all the time if that's your belief as a coach.
Now, if you're practicing these things as a coach and you're putting them in and you're seeing players not executing during the game, whatnot, and it's consistent that way, maybe you ought to. And here's the thing: maybe it's a thought process that these kids really don't want to play baseball. They're doing it. What are they doing? And what are we doing out here in these things? And I know people say, "Well, Brian, what are you're supporting all that?" Absolutely, I support development in baseball. I love the tournament weekends. They're fun. You got the kids out there talking baseball and this and that. And I was watching, we were out with the 7 and 9s this weekend, which we hadn't seen much of up to this point. And that was one of the reasons why, of course, we were out with the AAA. They were at C&H, so we were there, and we had the chance. And I'm watching. We got some film of the little guys, machine pitch and jacking the ball around and running around the bases. It's cool. It's fun. It's that development process. And it was funny, Mitch. We were interviewing these kids. And I said, "You guys learning some baseball stuff?" "No." I said, "Your coach isn't teaching you baseball stuff?" "No."
Okay.
And he's like, I said, "Well, what's he doing?" He goes, "Teaching us not to throw." Because in his mind, it was this idea, don't throw the ball around, stop throwing. Get the ball to second base. Don't throw it. Don't throw it. Run it in. Don't throw it. Run it in, because they called timeout. So there you go. And this is, in his mind, what he saw there in that respect. And I thought it was interesting the way. So yeah, you get a perspective of what these kids are seeing from the discussion or what they're being taught at that age. And it's because of the way the game is. You don't want the kids to keep running, get the ball into second, which you hear the coaches talk about, throw it to second base. They're teaching them to throw. I'm not saying coaches aren't. But the mindset, and you see in the kids the development process and what they're hearing and what they see.
Development process, keyword, right? I look at those same things as where do you start and how do you end? For youth baseball, it's 7, T-ball, whatever, 5 maybe. But in this select thing that we're doing, it's 7 to 14 years old. That's your development time frame, and it has to start somewhere. What's the one thing that you dislike as a coach? The ball gets thrown to your cutoff man, and the cutoff man's just standing there. What do we always tell them to do? Run it in. So they're teaching that at 7 years old. So by the time they're 12 years old, eventually they'll know to catch the ball, run it in, and it'll be second nature. Or if they're communicating like they're supposed to, they turn and throw it.
Right.
So you can see, like, I'm hearing it and I'm going, okay, there's a process starting, and so I like that's where the start is. There's 7 or 9, even at 9 years old. There's still a start to the process. And so, I'm not going to question that coach because this kid said he's not teaching me anything. He's probably teaching him a lot. He's just not recognizing it. You know what I mean? And he's got a brain that is focused on picking dandelions and his nose. So
yeah.
I'm like, this is one of the reasons why I personally do not coach that age group. I do not have the patience for that.
And understanding that, that's
and I don't know,
probably a good
and I
thing.
do not know how to talk to him.
Yeah.
I can talk stern to a high school kid. I cannot do that to a 10-year-old. I can just defeat that person.
I always liked
I don't want that.
the 7, 8, 9, 10. I always enjoyed that part because I think it's fun. I think the kids, they're just kids. To me, it was just like, hey, they're learning.
Oh, I love being a part of that.
Yeah.
I just don't want to coach it.
I always enjoyed that part of it. And this weekend we're watching the Clutch and St. Louis Prospects. Shout out to Coach Reeder. His son was playing on the from Liberty, playing on that Prospects team, and Clutch and St. Louis Prospects are playing. I mean, there was a shot to third base. The third baseman dives, snags that ball, comes up and fires across and throws a kid. I mean, it was a heck of a play. What I thought was the best thing, I had the camera on. We got that. It was in the highlight. I stayed there and I went back over and I saw the clutch third base coach walk out and high five the kid at third base. That's what I love about youth sports right there, is the recognition. These kids are still just playing. Yes, I'm sure that coach is out there working to put his team in a position that they understand what winning means and having that result. But I love that part of it. You recognize they're just 9. Hey, that's a heck of a play, kid. And he went out, gave him 5, and went back
awesome.
to their business. And I love that part about it. So kudos to that 9U clutch coach.
I forget who said it. The quote is "Game recognizes game," and I am. That's people think that's arrogance or things like that, or want to say something particular about that. I understand this game, and so when I can see a play that shouldn't be made at 9 years old, and it's made, I might buy that kid an ice cream after the game, because to me it comes down to the things that's going through that kid's head to mentally prepare him to dive, which we know that diving, you could get hurt. You're going to get scraped on your hands. You've got to be athletic enough to get up and throw it. That's a mentality thing.
And I want to go to this. We were the Game 7 had the Armed Forces Day Classic at Ballparks of America, and there is Nixa baseball, Nixa High School. Is in the quarterfinals.
I saw that.
It's a good baseball team, but here, look at this. I'm going to show you something. 11U, Nixa Baseball Club, which is their feeder teams for Nixa High School Baseball. 11U, I got to do this real quick. I guess it's Hoesch, Hoesch. I'm going to say that. They were 2-0, number 1 seed. Only gave up 3 runs.
I saw that. That's pretty... And scored a lot.
Yes. And they won the championship over the Maumelle Bulldogs, which is a good squad. We've seen them in these tournaments, 7-5. So that was a really good 11U baseball game. Mitch, what I'm seeing is, why is Nixa good?
I'm going to have to say that there's some sort of trickle-down effect from what the expectations are here, and then they just trickle down through the organization, and there's an expectation set for all their coaches.
And it's being taught in these younger age groups. And they've got talent, evidently. So all these kids, I would imagine maybe going to Nixa High School.
I just think about just some of these.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, these smaller, I shouldn't say smaller, but these Southwest teams, I guess, if you will, they're starting to make some noise, and it reminds me of what you see up here in the GACs, and you're going down there, and it's like, but what's happening down there is those schools are staying together.
Yes.
What I feel like down there, it was kind of like what was happening up here during Legion times in the late 80s, 90s. Obviously before that, but I played in the 90s at Legion, and it was the best. But you were literally playing also with your high school teammates. So it just always led to something bigger. The team building, the knowing and trusting of each other. Every year these kids are sometimes changing teams like they change their socks. And it's like, how do you get a relationship? And you're seeing this Nixa team, they might have been together for 4 or 5 years already.
Right.
And this is why you have the
and
results,
then that's into
too.
high school, and you're seeing these things, in my opinion, become the reality. And I'm going to give a shout-out real quick, 12U AAA. The dudes from Fayetteville, Arkansas, the Lindsay Dodgers, we saw them out. Remember that, Lauren? Mm-hmm. That was one of the players. I'm gonna go see if I can get his name, if I remember the name of this young man who knocked out Porter Rutledge, Mason Plant, Whit Barton, I think is who it was, Lauren. The young man who knocked out the Pete Rose question at the World Series, won the Pete Rose cards box set. Yeah, it was from these Lindsay Dodgers.
Did he open it while you were there?
No.
Oh, man. There's an autograph in there, so or can be autographs.
So shout out, they didn't win. They were in the championship game. They fell to the Lindsay Dodgers fell to the Capitals, 12U Capitals, 2-1.
Yeah, what a game.
There you go, man. 12U. That team has been together, that Lindsay Dodgers team. There again, there's another thought process there, Mitch. And then the 13U, man, 16 teams in that bad boy. Whew.
And this looks like another one that was open.
Look at that. The St. Louis Grind. Yeah, these are all open, Mitch. The St. Louis Grind got to the championship game, lost 6-0 to the Mo Capitals.
They had a good
Marucci
showing.
Midwest. Yeah, they did. They had a really good showing. So, and that's not an easy bracket right there. 16 teams. If you get now, and they were the 8th seed. So, that wasn't an easy one to get out of right there.
Let me ask this real quick, just because I'm being nosy, and I'm in the rosters as well looking through my phone. Is Marucci Midwest for all in the Ozarks area?
That one is, yes.
Okay, so they do have different areas that they're represented.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought they were actually just from almost all down south, west.
And I thought that, and I didn't even go up and say hello. I should have. That was Coach Elmendorf. Sorry, Coach. I'm videoing. It was Coach Elmendorf, his 7U Gators, that won that, and that was the two young fellas that we interviewed on that team. From that team, that was Coach Elmendorf's squad, 7U that won that whole deal. Actually, it wasn't. It was the other 7U Gators, Coach Allen's squad that we did the interview with. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Oliver Benfato and Camden Kraling. That's who we talked to there. So shout out to those guys, and shout out to the Gators. They had a good showing this weekend. Coach Elmendorf took home the his Missouri Gators took home the championship. Sorry, Coach, I should have said hello.
They scored a lot of runs.
Yeah, they did. They scored a lot of runs. So, hey, it's 7U ball. And that I want to look at the 14U there. The Missouri Redhawks, Coach Haley's squad won 9-1 over the Midwest Rebels, Coach Kilker. And Mitch, as we're talking here about these things, and this is what I want to, and I'm going to be paying attention to this more and more. I want to see on these 14U squads how much development is really happening. You can see it at some of the 9U. By the time you're getting to 14U, are you seeing these kids with double cuts? Are you seeing the plays put in? And we as coaches, are we setting an expectation level?
Is it we as coaches or we as directors or both?
I think it's both.
Because, is it one of those things because you want to have so many teams so that the facility stays full, or you have all of these things that we want to make sure that the facility survives or the team survive or the organization survives? Are we hiring the right people as well that have a high IQs to be able to teach these fundamentals? It's been tough on me. I've been paying attention to social media probably way too much the last couple of days on hearing just like why people are complaining about stuff, like why are they complaining about the Cardinals, the youth sports, the umpiring, all of these things. And I'm realizing there's a lot of people that don't understand some of the basic and easiest rules. How can we teach our young people development if we don't have a high IQ for just the game in general?
I believe this. I think all of this comes down to this one thought process, and I believe this very much. And this is where we have to set these, or put it in the right perspective, because I believe in winning. I am one of the most competitive people you'll ever meet. I am 36 years old, wearing blue jeans. And
I was going to say, not right now.
Yeah, no. I mean, I can't. My brain thinks I can, but my body knows it can't.
Oh, I just meant 36.
Oh, I ain't 36. I'm out on old guys versus young guys at a family reunion, and one of the kids, he was an all-state player here in the state and whatnot. And I'm like, we'll take you on. I don't care who you think you are. I'll beat you. And we lost by a point in the first game, all this. I'm like, no, we're running back. I hurt my knee. It's swole up. My wife is just upset at me because I heard it in like the first game and played another one, because I do not. That's just me. How do you win? How do you put yourself in that place? My mentality has always been that way. But I think when you're talking about young kids and young opportunities this way, what does winning mean? And understanding, how do you get there? Well, it's hard work for one, and it's understanding the preparation. The body follows the mind. The understanding of how do you prepare yourself? Well, we say we're always blaming it on an umpire or blaming it on this or blaming it on that, rather than I've watched you make 5 errors. And not to mention, you're allowing people to take free bases. Your pitchers give up free bases. Hey, you know what? If you're pitching to contact and they hit you around the ballpark, fine, they're better than you. We don't want to admit that, but we just walk the bases loaded and they're doing a cha-cha around the bases. And and then when the ball is hit, nobody expects the baseball to be hit, and then it startles us and it goes past us, and we wonder, how come you didn't make that play? Nobody's mindset is in any kind of condition to make plays, to be alert, to set themselves in a position to get the desired result, which the desired result in that one play on the defense is to get an out. On offense is to get a hit. If we set a series of those things together, that creates the opportunity for the desired result. And that is not the way we approach things.
And I think that starts with a lot of other things. Again, these are opinions, and just trying to be honest with who I am as a coach, with what I have as teams. We have a AA team, but the one thing I try to take pride on is how smart we play the game. I preach competition. I think competition breeds these desires to win the next pitch, which anybody that's out there, there's a great book. It's a mental toughness book. It's probably a plug I probably shouldn't be doing. I'm sorry. But it's a mental thing that these kids need to learn how to compete so that they can win the next pitch. If they make a mistake and get hit, or they walk the bases loaded, you still have to play this game one pitch at a time. But the desires to be so locked in on blaming an umpire, where's the compete in that player?
Did Corbin Burns start complaining to the umpire when the bases loaded, no outs, and what did he do? He just turned around and got the next 3 guys out.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it in Diaz last night, or Tommy Edman coming up in the 9th inning, getting a big double, and then K's, arguably the 3 best hitters that the Cardinals have on paper, in Goldie, Arenado, and Gorman.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And he
After
walked.
2, yes.
He walked, or Edman hits, steals a bag. He walks then Wilson Contreras, strikes out Edman, walks Nootbaar, and strikes out Gorman. I mean,
I know, man.
How about a roller coaster of an inning in the 9th, to potentially put the team up? And so you're seeing these things at the highest level. But what the highest level does is they compete when it's their moment, and it's one pitch at a time. At one pitch, that's all I can do as a hitter. I'm competing against one pitch.
If you got that runner, if you got first and third, what are you doing as a shortstop, as a catcher, as a second baseman to prevent that, or to, even if they do, are you executing? You may not get the out, but I want to see the execution of those opportunities, because that builds the thought process. Do it whether you're successful in it or not. Are you able to execute the opportunity? And if you continue to do it, do you get better at it and better at it and better at it?
How many times do you see in a game where you'll have an excellent relay, kid's still safe, but every coach, most coaches, I should say, are literally talking about heck of a job on the relay.
Yes.
And nothing about the safe call at the plate or wherever that bag was, or, executing a first and third, and everybody moved. But again, there's not enough competition. Coaches are telling to say, hey, first and third, just give them the bag. Where's the compete in the coach? So if we're not competing as coaches, our kids aren't going to compete.
That's right.
Our parents aren't going to compete. And all we're going to do is blame it on something specific. Well, why did we lose by a run? Because we gave them the second base bag instead of trying to be able to keep him there so we can turn a double play, get out of the inning. Now there's runners at second, third, single. Now it's 2 runs scored.
Whether you and then then you have to understand there's a certain, that doesn't mean just because your talent level may not be as much as the other doesn't mean you still don't work at executing, because this is the age still. You don't know what kid is going to grow, to do, to go. But if you teaching and putting those kids in that positive situation and that continued moment of execution, this is where we have got to start putting ourselves.
When I played adult baseball, and I played for a really good team, we had great records. We won. I will tell you what we did more than any other team was do the smallest things well. We knew where to be. We knew how to pitch in situations. We knew how to hit in situations. And we were, I can guarantee we weren't the most athletic group out there. Did we have athletic people? Of course. I played most of my adult baseball over 330 pounds.
Yeah.
There's not a reason why some kid that's 185 pounds and chiseled should outplay me. But I could out-hit because I understood how to hit and when to hit and how to swing for this or swing for that. Of course, I failed a ton. But we competed very differently. That's why I think we won, is because we did all of the small things. We were not as talented or athletic because we were playing college kids or kids being released from Grizzlies or at the time the Rascals. How are we able to do that? We're smarter than them.
And here's the other thing too. I've seen this throughout the season so far. I see catchers, with the one knee and the leg out, because why are you doing that? Do you even understand why you're doing that? Why it was set in place? First and foremost. Next, why are you doing it with a runner at third base? And then the ball is at the fence, and everybody's going, why didn't you block that? Pretty hard to block when you're not on your toes. And I will give kudos to this because I saw this, and it was in our highlight reel. And I know people might think whatnot, but I really thought it was great. We're in this game as men battlers. I think it was Coach Hewlett's squad. They're in a tough battle. The catcher, the runner, bases I think were loaded at the time too. This kid working behind the plate. I probably should have got his name, but it just popped in my head, really, is what it did. But the catcher there, he's blocking balls. He's up on his toes. I mean, he made 2 big-time blocks in that kept that run from scoring. That's competing. And he's not down on
at
one
a high
knee,
level,
right?
That's
competition.
You talked about the desires. I think they're
Yes.
hand in hand, right? Without the competition, their compete in that dog, he was not going to block that baseball. This is where, like, as a former catcher, getting yelled at for missing an outside pitch, not pulling it back in, or missing a block because I went to block it and it hit a rock and skipped up over my head,
That
or hit the
happens.
front of the plate and went over. But
Yeah.
as a catcher, you still get yelled at for some odd reason, not blocking the ball. So it's a position of ignorance, I guess. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to me, but that one moment that you have runners at third base in a crucial situation and you put a good block on a ball,
Absolutely.
and everybody is like, wow, or your teammates like,
Yeah,
wow.
baby. Yeah.
Well, now your pitcher can bury another off speed in the dirt to get a 2-strike swing maybe because he trusts you, and the game all of a sudden can change. And who knows, maybe that runner at third base thinks, oh, he ain't going to block that pitch. That's
Right.
56-footer. And you go out and you wear it off the neck, and it bounces right here. You pick it up and you get him in a rundown. You're out of the inning.
Right.
Things like this are what I think catchers' mentalities are what we live for. Are those big blocking situations, the throwouts, the first and third, nabbing someone, whether it's a fake throw, pump third base, or throw through to third base. Just compete. And if you're asking your pitchers to compete, you're asking your catchers, why shouldn't my shortstop, why shouldn't my second baseman, and the expectations be set. It is baseball. And if we're trying to get these kids to play high school baseball and we're trying to get them to play college baseball, watch high school, watch college, and watch how they don't take plays off.
Yep.
Because they compete. That's how they got there. They compete in the gym. They compete in school. They compete when they're playing street hockey or kickball or dodge. Well, I guess you can't play dodgeball anymore. You compete in hacky sack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like everything that you do, you're a competitor. You will be successful at something.
Yeah.
I don't know that it'll always be baseball because you still have talent, but I haven't gone to the University of Missouri and watched a kid go there that is not uber competitive in all facets of life.
And exactly. And you go out and compete in whatever cards, and whatnot. You don't want to lose.
I still haven't lost a game of tic-tac-toe to either one of my kids. I don't give them tic-tac-toe is easy. You only have 9 boxes, right? I can put them in a trap every single time. They're not learning. You think I'm going to tell them?
No.
I don't know. No, learn.
Learn.
Because life is hard.
Teach. That's what this is about, coaching. And we want to, and I'm going to keep doing this, our wrap-ups and whatnot. We're going to bring observations from the weekend. I'm not calling out coaches. I'm not saying, oh, you guys are horrible. No, these are just observations that I'm making. Coached at the youth level, umpired at the youth and high school level. I've had some success at it. I'm no guru by any stretch of the imagination, but I understand learning. I understand instruction. I understand these things, and just from my own experience. And I talk to men that do it at a high level and understanding and seeing their perspective. As we talked about, we see this baseball. Willard does it too. Coach McGee put out over a tweet here not too long ago. His freshman squad were like 29-6. His JV squad was like 29-4, some ridiculous number, and the varsity was 26-9, something like that. It was kind of like that. I think the freshmen and varsity were same 26-9. And the freshman or the JV was 29-4, something like that. Well, they have that youth program. We talked to Coach McGee about that and building that up. Willard, we'll discuss those things in the future, and we'll bring these observations. And when we come to our wrap-up show on that, I want to bring those to bear. Yeah, we'll talk about you, but we're doing that in our interviews. We're having some fun. You'll see the highlights on the Saturdays, and we've got the wrap-up stuff that we're doing. But I want to continue this thought process and in these discussions this way, taking what are our observations from those games and what we're doing and how are we bringing those to bear in our youth instruction, our youth baseball, our clubs, our tournaments, our games, on the youth side from 9 all the way up. How are we developing those kids from that 8, 9, 10 up to 11, getting to the 12, 13, 14, that in that middle school you're preparing them for high school, because that is the process. That 8 through 11 is basic fundamentals. Are we teaching, I watch kids, I call it this, and I'm going to finish off with this. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Sorry.
I just can't help it. We don't play catch. We play throw and chase.
We can have an entire show.
And we will. We'll talk about that. And I want people to understand there is drills that will help. And I've done these. And you'll be surprised at how much it helps these kids in just their mechanics and throwing mechanics. But I don't see coaches out there, even in the warm-ups. I did this before games at 8, 9, and 10. We went through our break and throw drill before every game with these kids, just as a reminder to get them in that place, to understand you got to throw and hit them in the chest. And that's why
the chest? Why can't you hit them in the face? They'll learn how to catch.
That's why you wear a glove. You don't watch the ball go by you and go chase it. You catch it. That's why you wear a glove. And
remember when we talked about competing? They don't compete hard enough to even make an honest effort. Can I piggyback? Do we have time to piggyback? I told my team, this is my 15U team, which is I'm with my 15s and 17s, and I told them about playing catch. And I said, you make errors at shortstop because you can't start the game by playing simple catch at 45, 60 feet, 90 feet. You keep throwing the ball here, there, whatever. You can't stay within an arm's length of the body.
Right.
If you can't do that, you're not playing shortstop for me. And that kid looked at me like, holy cow, like, no, this is real. I cannot stand a team that walks out on the line and you see 10 kids just go take off running, you know, and they're chasing a baseball. Then they throw the ball back from wherever they're throwing at without even being warm. They 7-hop it to the kid 4 rows down. This, I'm not kidding you. I see this in the high school levels, and that bothers me. I still take a ton of pride. If I'm throwing a foul ball back to the pitcher, like let's say I'm sitting down on a bucket and I'm in a ball squirts down the fence or something, I pick it up. My goal is to throw it back to my pitcher or the opposing pitcher and hit him right here. I'll even have arc on the ball.
I'm watching Justin in his warm-ups in college and his long toss as they go through their progression and what they do. I'm watching his long toss. He's hitting his catcher.
What's he going to do in the game?
I'm watching the catcher, 1-2 hop it, throw it over his head, this, that. And I'm like, are you serious?
Your pitcher's working extra hard. Thank you. Let's have him be in the 3rd inning by the time he gets to the ball game because he's got to
What
run.
are you?
I don't
this
mind.
Is college.
I'll keep in mind. I don't mind if a kid can't make the throw that far when the guy that he's playing catch with.
Your catcher should be. I mean, come on.
You would like to think that, but maybe he's a good receiver, soft arm, whatever, good hitter. I mean, those things happen. However, like, throw it higher. The kids don't understand. Like, they want to play long toss, and they want to keep it 10 feet off the ground, and they want to roll the ball to your partner. They don't understand the height is what helps get the ball as far as it's going. Why do you think we have 100-mile-an-hour balls going 450 feet? Because they hit it higher in the air or something. You know, it's like I need the common sense to kick in too, but we have to use terms like, hey, over the mountain. We have to use the terms of when we're going away that we have to have air under the ball. When they're coming back, it's flatter.
Put a little air on it.
You know, and it's like they don't even understand what some of these things are. And I don't know how I learned this. I don't know if my coach said it has to do this.
You don't remember.
I don't. I explain it because most kids these days want the whys. But I am a firm believer if you cannot play catch or at all, whether throwing or receiving, you should not play this game. And parents need to have a real expectation on why their kid doesn't play shortstop. If they're out there watching, which we don't have enough observations other than what the game is, if your son or daughter cannot throw the ball 60 feet, there's no reason they should be on the infield. I got a young man that can't throw the ball on the infield. This is no joke, but can absolutely pinpoint at 100+. It is crazy to me.
So he's an outfielder.
Exactly. This is why he plays the outfield now, and he doesn't pitch or play the infield. But it's crazy to me because he changes his arm slot when he's on the infield, and I can't get him to understand what he needs to do differently because when he's in the outfield, he's up here. When he's on the infield, he wants to be cute. Never can throw the ball anywhere. It's probably within 75 feet. It's crazy to me.
And that's where he's at then.
But that's my job as an evaluator.
Exactly. So, good stuff. We'll be back next week, and we will bring our observations from that week. And next week is high school baseball. Tune in. Make sure we'll be here Tuesday for our youth baseball talk, tournament wrap up, observations. But next week, then we're going down to the Misha State Championships. We got the quarterfinals coming up this Saturday. We'll have Kevin Mulder in. Hopefully, we're going to get some coaches in. I talked with Coach Reeder. I'm going to be talking to some of the coaches this afternoon, see if we can get some of them in and get their thoughts. Coach, I'm going to try and get Coach Goff, Coach Horn, talk about some of the playoffs and good stuff coming up.
Man, I was pretty jacked about a couple of our area teams being able to take down their district championships. I'm excited for South, Howell. To watch these dudes, and
so we're hoping to get to the Final Four. I think Howell is. I think South has got a real good opportunity to be in that Final Four. I think so does, or South. I said, yeah, I said
South, yeah,
and Howell both. So I mean, there's going to be tough teams. It's good baseball. So There we go.
I love this 2023 class of seniors, and South is young, but
Yep.
I'm just super pumped on. I'm following every Game Changer. I'm following stuff that's televised. I'm buying the thing because I don't think I can go down to state, so I'm going to buy the little pass to watch. And the reason I want to watch this is because these are some of very talented young people. CBC.
Well, we're hoping we're going to be able. I got Kevin Mulder coming down. He's coming down anyway because of Prep Baseball Report. But we're going to work to do some things and try and get interviews with coaches and work our podcast down there and throughout the weekend and talk to coaches and hopefully get some inside stuff and scoopage. You like that?
I don't know. Weird.
From
like a weird
high
word.
school baseball. High school baseball.
That's right. That's for
Because baseball has been about good to me. If
Thanks,
you don't know
Sammy.
what that means,
I just
go
gave it
check
away.
out that.
I just gave it away.
What?
I said the name.
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe they didn't hear
SNL.
me because
it was an old SNL skit. You never knew that?
No, I didn't.
Baseball has been about good to me. It's an old SNL skit. Go check it out.
I probably know who did it.
Yeah.
Because I am white hair guy. No, not white hair. He wouldn't have white hair.
I'm trying to remember his name and I can't.
I'm thinking of Liam Nelson or
Oh,
Nielsen.
Liam Neeson? No.
I'm thinking of the other
It was a
character.
way
Two
back.
wild
This
and
is-
crazy guys.
Oh, Steve Martin?
Yeah, it's not him?
No.
Ah, see,
Not Steve
he
Martin.
always would do accents. But Sammy said that. Sammy Sosa. That's where I thought you were going with that. Yeah, I was getting ready to do
He
one of
was
these.
probably doing one of the. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week, Mitch, with some more baseball stuff. And everybody, until then, make sure while you're here, like, subscribe. That's the biggie. Subscribe. We got some great content. We appreciate everybody tuning in to our Saturday podcast with all the interviews and the kids and the highlights. It's a lot of fun. We enjoy that, doing that on the Saturday. So, and then, of course, the live stream. Appreciate everybody tuning in. It's a lot of fun calling the games. Hopefully, maybe, this Sunday? No?
No.
Jeez.
I got both teams going 15s and 17s.
Oh, that's right.
I gotta
it's baseball
be there.
time.
Yeah, I gotta be
never
there for
mind.
both.
I knew that.
Well,
I was just
I'm
testing.
hoping I'm
I
playing on
gotcha.
Sundays.
Yeah.
I'm
If
not-
you're not,
If I'm not, I'll be out. I will try to make. I
hopefully
enjoy.
you're playing on Sunday.
I enjoy calling those games.
I know you do.
And I think they're fun. And plus, what I learned and experienced last year, watching in high school this year, I really now have a different view on some of these things that I would like to maintain being a part of. I don't want to have a conversation with these shows without knowing who people are.
Absolutely. Understand. So thanks, everybody.
But I still have a job to do.
Yes, you do. Appreciate it. And thanks to Mitch always. And folks, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. Pound that zone. Live in the K zone. Hitters,
Don't go 0 for 30 in 2 games in your top 3 positions in your lineup. That's the Cardinals' last 2 games. Their top 3 dudes were not hitting baseballs. So do what Paul DeYoung's doing. Nobody likes Paul DeYoung, so I'm going to
Hit
Paul DeYoung.
dingers.
Hit dingers, 3-run doubles, dingers. That's what we do.
dingers and doubles.
That's what we're getting back to. Dingers and doubles. That's an original.
We'll see y'all
Write
next
that down.
time.